Hi, my name is Mike Sullivan. I'm the Assistant Men's Director for the Arkansas Assemblies of God Men's Department. And I wanted to come to you today because we're starting something brand new. Part of my job in our district is training and helping men to become better men's leaders, helping our men's reps in our different sections to do their job as a rep. And so we're starting something new. We're doing some training videos to help the local church men's director how to have a good functioning men's group. Perhaps you're in a church that doesn't have a men's ministry, and if you don't, I would ask one question: do you have men? And if you have men, you have a men's ministry. Men's ministry is important, and we want to help you develop it. We want to help your men's ministry be the very best that it can be. Brother Terry Newman, our district men's director, as he leads us, this is some things we're trying to accomplish. And we're starting this off at Men's Retreat and going from there. We're making these available on our Facebook page, our district men's Facebook page, as well as a channel on YouTube. And so I want to encourage you, if you know of some other men's leaders that could benefit from this, please pass it on. What I want to talk to you today about is dealing with the need for men's ministry. When Jesus started out his ministry, he didn't just start out going about teaching and preaching and going to all kinds of wild places and doing great miracles. One of the first things he did was reach men. He reached out to a handful of men who became his disciples and began pouring his life into these men. If you're a pastor, and sometimes as I pastor my church at Poen Assembly of God in Poen, Arkansas, as I pastor my church, I'm also the men's leader of my church. And that's one of my passions is men's ministry. And I want to see men become the very best that they can be in God's image. And to facilitate that, sometimes we make it harder than what it actually really is. If you want to have a men's ministry, and if you have one, then keep doing it. Let me just put a thought in your mind. See if there's something you could do to make your men's ministry better. Is there something you can do to liven it up or make it have a greater impact? If you've got the same old 5, 10, 12, 20 guys coming, is there some way that you can be reaching more men and getting more men into what you're doing? And there's at least twice a month, we're going to be putting out a video that'll be addressing some of these things, specific things, to help you have a better men's ministry. If you're a men's rep, this will be helping you to help them, because not everybody has access to the internet. Not everybody watches these videos. And as a men's rep, what you can be doing is taking other churches that are wanting to do men's ministry and just pass along this information. So let's start with a men's meeting. And that's what our focus is today. How can you have a men's meeting? If you've got food, you're going to have men. That's another axiom for youth ministry. If you got food, you'll have teenagers show up. Men will show up where it's a non-threatening environment where you have food. Guys can come together and just be guys. I want to encourage you to make your venue the best thought out that you can. For some places, a breakfast works best. Here at my church, this was something they were actually doing just prior to when I came here, and has been a success, is Sunday morning breakfast. I've got a gentleman, Pastor Nate, my connections pastor. Him and maybe 2 or 3 of our other men may show up, and they'll fix breakfast. Man, they will fix a fantastic breakfast. And we'll have breakfast ready at 8 o'clock in the morning. Now, I've done men's breakfast at other churches, and it was me that was cooking it. If that's what it takes, do it. We'll have breakfast, and we'll set it all out there. The men will show up on Sundays at 8 o'clock in the morning, because they're already going to be at church on Sunday morning anyway. So they show up, they eat breakfast, and we'll have a guest speaker, perhaps myself or one of our staff pastors or a gentleman from our community will speak to our men, and they'll challenge our men. And then we'll just have a time of putting out information of stuff we're doing as a men's group and to invite them to. And there's just a time of fellowship. That works for us here at Poen. That may not work for you. The Saturday morning breakfasts, done those before, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. I'll tell you, a surefire way to kill your men's breakfast is to put a work day on the end of it. It worked in another generation. And if it works at your church, don't stop it. Keep doing that. But for a lot of churches, when they do a work day as their men's ministry, you're not going to get guys to show up. You're not going to get guys from my generation and below to show up because they're working all week. They want something else. And we'll talk later on about events that you can do that to take men to go fishing or hunting or out into town to do something. But what you've got to have is a monthly meeting where you're coming together to do something. To have some sort of way where men can get together and do what the Bible says, as iron sharpens iron, so one man's countenance sharpens another. That we can have a time when men are coming together to grow in God together in a very non-threatening atmosphere, in a man atmosphere, not a woman's type venue. Well, that's something we can do as men. So whether you have a Friday night barbecue, a Saturday fish fry, a Sunday morning breakfast, a Tuesday night thing, you need to be doing something. You need to have something that works for you. What is it that will draw your men? What is it that will get them out on a monthly basis? It's not something you necessarily need to do week to week. That's something else we'll talk about later. But what's something you can do once a month that will get men to come out and to talk about God? Some do it in the sanctuary setting, like where I'm at in my church sanctuary. They do it in like a church service. That might work. I highly doubt it. Men like to gather around tables and talk. And so as a men's leader, it may be more than being some great teacher, some great expositor of God's Word. What may work better is being a moderator. Nothing is as intriguing as a good question. And you may have some simple Bible study, video clip, something, and you just moderate the meeting. But it's getting the men there to where they can talk. Men can be open. They can be personable. They're not sharing deep secrets that men don't share very well. But you're having some venue. What is it that works in your church? What is it that will work in your setting? You know your men better than I could. Myself, Terry Newman, our men's director, your men's rep in your area. If you don't know who they are, contact me, let me know, and we'll tell you who they are. Have one of us come and do an assessment of your church, and we can help you put together a monthly men's meeting. The key is when are you going to do it? And then do it. And let me end with this thought here. When we start a ministry here at Poen, in our church, we have a rule. Something that we've set in place for whatever ministry we have. And that's the 2-year judgment factor. Don't judge yourself for 2 years. Have grace with yourself. That if it's not going just right, it's okay. Don't stop. The last thing you want to do is you start your first meeting and man, you got 40 guys show up. Your second meeting, you got 30. Your next one, you got 20. And then from there on out, you got 5 to 10. Can I tell you some of your best ministry is the remnant ministry. Don't discount it just because you don't have all 40 that you started with. That's okay. Be faithful. Be faithful. Don't be afraid to ask the hard questions. Are there things I'm doing wrong? Is there things I could be doing better? Ask yourself those questions. But don't just chop everything up. Don't change horses in midstream and suddenly do something different. Work at it smoothly, in a flow. If you need to make some changes, make them slowly. But give yourself time. Give yourself time and grace that maybe that didn't work. Well, that's okay. Let's try it again. At one church where I was the men's ministry director, I had to kill the men's ministry twice because it just die. It'd start out great and die. And I had to kill it. The third time was the charm. And it worked, and our men's ministry was fantastic. But I was learning. As an ordained minister, I was learning how to do men's ministry. Learn how to do men's ministry. That's why we're doing these videos, is to teach you twice a month how to do men's ministry. If you ever have a question, find me, find Pastor Terry, or one of our other men's reps. Let us be there as a resource to help you. Let us be there as a means to give you information and be a resource for the things that are out there. But where you need to start right now is begin praying. Don't do anything out of your own ingenuities. This is spiritual business. Start asking God, all right, Lord, help me discern what is the best time and place and method to do a monthly men's meeting in my church. Tables and coffee, church setting, breakfast, lunch, dinner. What is it that will get the men out? Because all success and all failure shouldn't belong in your hands. It belongs in God's. I love you. I thank God for your ministry. I appreciate what you're doing. Don't stop. Whatever you do, don't stop. Men are all around you, and they're needing to be ministered to as men. God bless you, and have a great week.